What's up, YouTube? So yesterday was the Super Bowl. As everybody knows, the New England Patriots beat the Los Angeles Rams 13-3. The MVP of the game was Julian Edelman for a wide receiver for the New England Patriots. So he had 10 receptions for 141 yards, which is a very good game. He had a very good game. He was all over the place, even though the Los Angeles Rams knew they had to stop him. He still did everything he wanted to do and then some. So on First Take, they're talking about in this segment about who was MVP, who should have been MVP, who everybody thinks that, should have been MVP between Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. So let's see what they have to say about the MVP.
Stephen A., I'll start with you. Did you feel like Julian Edelman deserved Super Bowl MVP?
No, I didn't think anybody on the offensive side of the ball for the New England Patriots deserved MVP. I thought you could have gone in two directions on the defensive side of the ball. You could have gone with Hightower, who had a couple of sacks, who was menacing throughout the afternoon. He had two of the Patriots' 4 sacks. You could go with Stephon Gilmore, who I believe intercepted that pass near the end of the game, and he was involved in a lot of different.
So I understand where Stephen A. Smith is coming from. I can also understand how Julian Edelman could have gotten or why he received the MVP. 10 receptions for 141 is a great game. On the other hand, I can see, like I said, what Stephen A. Smith is talking about, some of the guys on the defensive side of the ball for New England. Hightower had an excellent game. He had 2 sacks, 2 key sacks. I think before he got hurt, obviously he got 2 sacks before he got hurt, but, there was a couple other defensive plays that definitely could have deserved MVP. Let's hear more of what Stephen A. Smith has to say.
Plays as well. I'm not going to lie to you. We talking about Bill Belichick here. I think that in light of the hirings that we've seen in the National Football League, I think we should take a moment to give mass credit to Brian Flores, the linebackers coach, who also happens to be the defensive play caller for the New England Patriots. You played zone after going man. You loaded 6 in the box. Okay, you sat up there and you schematically went about the business of outdueling Wade Phillips, who did a phenomenal job.
So let me stop Stephen A. Smith right there. I think he passed one guy that could definitely be in the running for MVP-ish type player, Jason McCourty. So he made a huge play. So Goff threw a deep bomb out to Cooks, and Cooks damn near had the catch, but from out of nowhere, Jason McCourty came up. He had to run across the damn state to get to Cooks to knock the ball out of his hands. I think everybody in that damn stadium could see that and think it was going to be caught for a touchdown. I bet you Cooks thought it was going to be a catch for a touchdown. I bet you Goff thought it was going to be a catch for a touchdown. And if he would have got that ball, if he would have caught that ball, that would have changed the whole aura of the game. That would have changed everything. And by the way, Cooks had a great game. I think he had 6 receptions for 121 yards. So I had the Rams won the game. He would definitely been looked at for MVP had he caught that ball and the game that he had, even though they lost. He had a great game, but they lost, so it doesn't really matter. So let's continue on. I just want to throw praise to Jason McCourty for the huge batted down ball that he did in the end zone against Cooks, because that would have changed the game. But let's hear more of what Stephen A. Smith has to say.
On the defensive side of the ball for the Los Angeles Rams, as far as I'm concerned, with the exception of the last drive when they gave up 2 26-yard runs to Michelle and Burkett. So I look at it from the standpoint that you can go either route. You can look at but it's all on the defensive side of the ball for the New England Patriots. They are the MVPs of this Super Bowl. It ain't Tom Brady. It should not have been Julian Edelman. It should have been somebody on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion, mainly Hightower for the New England Patriots.
So I can't argue with that. Hightower, like I said before, had a great game. He had 2 sacks. He was just a tyrant on the field. And the old saying goes, defense wins championships. Offense wins games. Defense wins championships. One more time. Offense wins games. Defense wins championships. Carry on, Mr. Smith.
Who should have won Super Bowl MVP?
The truth of the matter is you have to give the award to a player. Otherwise, really, the MVP was Bill Belichick, and I may have even broke with tradition there and actually given it to Belichick. That's how obvious, over the top it was.
What about
that
Brian
Belichick
Flores?
was the MVP of the game? What's that?
What about Brian Flores?
The
who's
DC?
about to be the head coach of Miami? Your defensive play caller for the New England Patriots. How about him?
Listen, what we saw without Matt Patricia, what we saw without various defensive coordinators is Belichick doesn't need the defensive coordinator. It's obviously Bill Belichick, and he was the greatest defensive coordinator of all time when he was with the Giants, even before he ever got to New England. Look.
Whoa. Max, give credit where credit's due. Okay, so Bill Belichick's not there just running the show by himself. He has a D coordinator for a reason. The man's there, and he's going to be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins for a reason, which they're going to be going against each other. So that's going to be very interesting next year. So Max, give credit where credit's due. You know, Bill Belichick is a mastermind. He's probably the GOAT, head coach. Well, I like Bill Walsh, Coach Joe Montana and all that. But that's for another video. But Max, give credit where credit is due. Let's carry on.
That's the real answer. But if we must give it to a player, if we must identify one, then it is Julian Edelman. Yes, he was busted for PEDs. By the way, he was a TB12 guy, and he was busted for PEDs early in the season. And
okay, let's go. Let's talk about that PEDs. So Julian Edelman was busted for taking steroids. Okay, he was taking performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs. Yes, he was caught. He served his time. He was suspended. And he came back and he balled out. Okay? He came back and balled out. Now, he balled out during the playoffs, and particularly the Super Bowl, because during the regular season, he's a mediocre player, which is another reason why I don't quite think he belongs in Hall of Fame. So check this out. He wasn't top 10 in receptions as a wide receiver. He wasn't even top 10 during the regular season. Top 20 as in receptions during the regular season. I think he only got like 72 or 73. He's like ranked 27th for receptions for wide receivers. And receiving yards throughout the regular season, he only has like 850 yards. He's ranked like 28th for receivers during the regular season. So, he didn't, you can't say that he just turned into Superman because he's using steroids. If anything, it's the opposite. He was caught, he was busted using PEDs, steroids. Now he comes back and he has even bigger target on his back because he's been caught before. So everybody's really going to be looking at him. And what does he do? He has an average season, maybe a little bit below average. But when it counts, when it gets to the Super Bowl, the man absolutely balls out. And you don't think he was probably randomly tested during the playoffs and maybe even just before the Super Bowl? You don't think he was probably tested? It's the same thing. I don't want to get on a different subject, but it's the same thing when New England was caught cheating with Spygate and Deflategate. Everybody says, oh, they were cheating. They were caught. They were busted. Tom Brady served his time, and then what did he do? I do believe he ran the table and went to the Super Bowl. I think he lost to Eli Manning. Eli Manning is the Tom Brady killer, but I don't want to get too far off track. But when they're caught and they come back playing, that means there's even more targets on their back because everybody's looking for them to screw up. Everybody's looking, oh, are you using steroids again? So anything they did after they were caught cheating, if you will, everything's pure. That's just straight them. That's just them. So let's just carry on. I've gotten off track, but let's keep going.
If this were baseball, he would not have been eligible to play in the championship game. However, this isn't, and no one seems to care in the NFL much about that stuff. And so he did play in the championship game. And furthermore, PEDs at any point don't make you a clutch player. They can make you a better player, but not a clutch player. We've seen plenty of cheats who still choke under pressure. Julian Edelman is the definition of a clutch player. When you go for 141 yards in a game where every single yard is at a premium, in a game where in the first half the Rams' total offense was 57 yards, and one player goes for 141, that guy is the MVP of the game.
And not only that, Max, but everybody knows that Julian Edelman was Tom Brady's number one receiver. Gronkowski may have been second. He is second. But everybody knows what Tom Brady's going to be throwing the rock. And who's he throwing the rock to? Julian Edelman. They had 2 weeks to prepare to stop this guy. And then he just had his way with the Rams. He just wanted to catch the ball. He goes and catches it. He goes and does whatever he wants. The Rams couldn't stop it. The defensive coordinator couldn't put up any schemes to stop this guy. So, of course, he's going to be MVP. I can't argue with that, Max. I can't argue with that. But I hear what you said before, Stephen A. Smith. So let's just carry on.
It's like in a low-scoring environment. That kind of offensive production has an outsized impact on the game. If you must choose a player, they got it right. It's Julian Edelman.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree that it was Julian Edelman. Stephen A., I totally understand where you're coming from. You look at that defensive game plan by the New England Patriots to be able to hold the second highest scoring team in the National Football League to 3 points. My God, I mean, what a game plan that Brian Flores, Bill Belichick put together to stop that Rams team. The way they got after Jared Goff, you're talking about a Patriots defense that only had 30 sacks, which is second fewest, and they got 4 sacks. And I don't know how many pressures on Jared Goff, but since you want to try to point for the MVP, you got to point to one player. It'll have to be Julian Edelman because, quite frankly, he was the only guy on the Patriots offense really doing anything, whether it was zone or man that the Rams were playing against him.
So, all praise goes to Julian Edelman, but Gronkowski was in there too. I think he had 6 receptions for 84 yards or something like that. But he had a key catch. I think it was one of the longest plays of the game. Brady to Gronkowski for I think it was 30 yards where he got that exquisite catch at the 2-yard line when he didn't have single coverage. He didn't have double coverage. He had the whole goddamn the county of Los Angeles there covering him, and he still caught the ball at the 2-yard line. Let me tell you that again. The whole county of Los Angeles was covering Gronkowski when he caught that ball on a 2-yard line to set up the touchdown. Carry on.
Julian Edelman was still finding ways to make plays for the Patriots offense. I don't know how many times that he caught clutch play after play after play to keep the chains moving or just big chunk plays for the New England Patriots. So, again, I wish I could pick a defensive player because that performance was quintessential New England Patriots and Belichick defensive coaching staff. But since we have to give it to one player, it's going to have to be Julian Edelman.
Well, let me tell you why I disagree with both of you, because the score was 3-3 at the end of 3 quarters. And when we look at it, basically what we're pointing to, I'm not trying to say that Edelman didn't play well. Please don't get me wrong. Yeah. But we're talking about the effectiveness. And at the end of the day, when you look at a 3-3 score, okay, let's say, for example, if the Rams had gotten it done, people might have, if that's the case, we might have been talking about Brandon Cooks, right? Because he did have 120 receiving yards. But what dominated the majority of this game? It was defensive performances. Now, schematically, we look at the New England Patriots and we see how they zoned up and how they emulated the Chicago Bears and what they did to the Los Angeles Rams when they played it earlier in the season. But I saw a guy in Dante Hightower all over the field. Gilmore and the others, true, that was obviously the case. But they were applying pressure, and we look at them collectively and we say, this defense played absolutely lights out. They put forth a sensational performance, and as far as I'm concerned, Dante Hightower was the ringleader. I had the benefit of being able to sit in the booth next to Randy Moss and Chris Berman. Doesn't get much better than that. I'm here to tell you that right now. And if you're a guy listening to a guy like Randy Moss and what have you, who obviously knows his football just like Damian does, you can point to Dante Hightower missing out on dropping that interception. That's about the only thing he did wrong. But you're missing dropping the interception.
You're missing something important, I think, about Edelman. And look, people credit Tom Brady, and he deserves it. Tom Brady throughout the Super Bowl, and we'll get to that a little later, wasn't very good, but in the fourth quarter, he was good. He's game manager who's big on third down in the fourth quarter. Julian Edelman, and look at championship teams across sports. They have guys like Julian Edelman. He's a clutch